Smoke rose like a ghost into the pale blue morning sky, curling and choking out the dawnlight. The flames crackled behind her, devouring the only home she had left in this cruel world. June Maddox ran barefoot through the brush, cradling 2 screaming infants, her twin nieces, barely a year old, against her chest. Her nightgown was singed, her face smudged with soot, and blood trailed down one leg where sharp timber had grazed her thigh. She didn't stop. Couldn't. Her heart pounded in terror, not only from the fire but from the men who had set it. They had come before sunrise, bandits, outlaws from the mines north of Black Hollow, looking for something or someone. When she refused to tell them where her late brother had hidden the silver he'd stolen, they had struck her across the face and set the cabin ablaze. She'd barely had time to snatch the twins from their crib before everything went to hell. As she stumbled down a rocky slope toward the river bend, her legs gave out. The twins wailed louder. Then, hoofbeats. She tensed. Her body coiled around the babies like a shield. The sound drew closer until it stopped just a few feet away. She looked up, vision blurred from ash and tears. A lone figure dismounted from a black gelding, tall, lean, and dressed in dust-worn denim with a long brown duster that fluttered in the breeze. A shadow of a beard clung to his jaw, and beneath the brim of his hat, his eyes caught haze, sharp as a blade, soft as sorrow. "You all right, miss?" he asked, his voice like gravel warmed by the sun. She wanted to answer, but all that came out was a sob. Chapter 2. The Stranger's Oath. His name was Eli Granger, a man who hadn't called any place home in 6 years. A cowboy with a checkered past, drifting from town to town, doing odd work and outrunning ghosts. He wrapped a blanket around June's shoulders and gently took one of the babies, Sarah, from her arms. She flinched at first, but his hands were careful, steady, practiced. He took them to a narrow canyon nearby, where a cool stream flowed and his campsite lay tucked beneath cottonwoods. He fed her biscuits and boiled coffee while the twins lay on a thick bedroll. Once she had enough breath to speak. She told him everything. The fire, the outlaws, the silver her brother had stolen from cruel men up north. "They'll be back," she whispered, hugging her knees, eyes fixed on the flames of his campfire. "I lied. I don't know where he buried the silver. But they won't believe that. They'll come for me again. For the girls." Eli's gaze didn't leave the fire. "Then they'll have to go through me." Chapter 3. A Town with No Mercy. Eli rode her into the dusty town of Wren's Hollow the next day, with June and the twins hidden in the back of a freight wagon. He'd worked the ranches nearby years ago, but the town had changed. Harder now. The law was weak, the sheriff owned by the mining lords. He stopped outside the doctor's office, carried the twins in with June. Old Doc Barley stitched up her leg and warned them in a hushed tone, "You best not linger here. Word travels fast, and that silver's cursed by every outlaw from here to Durango." They took a room above the livery stable. It wasn't much, but it had walls and a roof. June's strength returned little by little. But she was haunted. Every loud footstep made her flinch. At night, she'd wake in cold sweats, terrified of losing the babies to the fire or the men who lit it. Eli didn't talk much, but he stayed. He brought milk, cleaned wounds, soothed the twins when June could not. She watched how he held Sarah and hoped like they were his own blood. She noticed the way he'd go quiet whenever she asked about his past. One night, while the desert wind howled outside and the lamps burned low, June finally asked him, "Why are you helping us?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Because once," he said, "someone saved me when I didn't deserve it. It's time I paid that forward." Chapter 4. The Return of the Fire. They came back under a bleeding sunset. 3 riders, faces covered, rifles in hand, stormed the outskirts of Wren's Hollow, firing shots into the air. One of them called out June's name. The mining gang. She recognized the voice of their leader, Boone Carver, a snake of a man with coal-black eyes and no soul to speak of. June screamed for Eli, grabbing the babies and hurrying to the stable loft. He was already at the door, rifle in hand, eyes like steel. "They found us," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Then this ends tonight." He led her and the twins to the old church at the edge of town, abandoned now but sturdy. He laid the babies behind the pulpit, gave June his revolver. "Shoot if anyone but me walks through that door." She grabbed his wrist before he left. "Don't let them take us, Eli." He leaned forward, resting his forehead gently against hers. "They won't." Then he was gone. Chapter 5, Gunfire and Redemption. The gunfight broke loose in the street, echoing like thunder through the hollow. Eli moved like a ghost, striking from alley to rooftop. He wounded 2 of the riders and drew Boone into the open. "You think you're a hero, Cowboy." Boone sneered, stepping forward with a shotgun. "You're nothing. She ain't yours to save. She's more family than you'll ever understand." Eli took the shot first. Boone went down, and the street fell quiet. Sheriff Dunley came out from hiding after the smoke cleared, muttering something about dealing with the cleanup. But he didn't stop Eli from riding back to the church. When June saw him walk through that door, blooded but standing, she let go of every fear that had choked her heart for weeks. She dropped the revolver and ran to him, tears blinding her. "You came back," she whispered. "Always would," he said, holding her tight. Chapter 6, The Beginning of Forever. Months passed. June never found out if the silver had ever existed. Maybe her brother made it all up. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was Eli. He built her a new cabin at the edge of Wren's Hollow, just far enough to hear the river. Folks in town started to respect him. He took up honest ranch work again. The twins called him Papa before their 2nd birthday. And June, scarred, once broken, healed in ways no doctor could measure. They married in the spring under a cottonwood tree. No grand affair, just a preacher, the wind, and 2 babies throwing wildflowers. After the vows, June whispered to Eli, "Why me?" He looked at her, the sun dancing in his eyes. "Because you ran through fire and still chose to love. That kind of strength deserves something good."